Sweat Equity Podcast. How you feeling, Caleb?
What's going on?
Woo! Sunday afternoon.
Nice little toasty Sunday here.
Got our buddy Tyler here.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Yeah, we're gonna talk a little nerd stuff, website development, why websites are important. It's an argument I almost implode on weekly, and let's just fucking get into it, man. You hear that? You hear that drum beat?
Oh, here it comes.
Sweat Equity Podcast. Make sure you're telling your friends, you're telling your loved ones, telling your ma, your pa, sister,
Bro, sis,
cuz, anybody that I read something in Wall Street Journal, and this is something I'll find and try to link out. That what's really funny is the podcasting universe. Our generation kind of thinks of it as like you're kind of a dummy if you don't listen to podcasts, and then you have like probably 90% of your friends don't, and you don't get it, and they listen to radio still. Yeah. So
yeah, that's a little waste of time.
So Wall Street Journal had something. Noticed two things. They said how advertising on podcasts is a little tough because the medium's not matured yet. We get it, but it was saying only like it was noting like Serial and all the liberal ones. Which I get. If you're the New York Times, I understand.
Of course.
But this is the Wall Street Journal. I for sure thought, our main man, Adam Carolla, would get some kind of plug there because he's basically the grandfather of this whole concept as far as being something you can utilize as a revenue stream, as a real legit kind of on-demand radio is how I just tell everybody about it.
Yeah, I think when XM kind of came out and they started seeing the value of the non-censorship and being able to voice your own views, I think that's when podcasting kind of started to take a little bit more of a leap. I'm sure it had already been around. I don't know the history of podcasting, but I think that's where people started liking the idea of being able to say whatever they want with whatever views and kind of non-censorship they had. So.
Well, one of the first guys to get on it is actually from Tampa, podcasting and making it a legit thing.
Really?
I think he makes a living doing it. He's a comedian buddy of mine. His name's Patrick from Nobody Loves Onions in LO. Nice. If you've ever seen it, he does live streaming, awesome, badass, like live stream interviews. He's been doing it, I think, since like 2005.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, and I think most of the big guys like Rogan, Carolla, Mark Maron, they kind of got into it about 2008, 2009 or somewhere in that range. So I just thought it was interesting. I just remembered that as I was kind of leading into the episode. But if you're listening to this, you were part of the first mover market, as they say.
Yep.
And you're smarter than most of your friends because you're more efficient. I love listening to podcasts while I'm doing other things. You're probably listening to this. You're hearing my mumbly tone while you're driving or you're working out, going for a run, cleaning the house. That makes me doing house shit and listening to something where I can kind of learn something. I feel is way more valuable than just listening to nothing.
There's no question.
So it's one of those things where I try to maximize my time the best I can. But I digress. Speaking of advertising, you want to get into our sponsor here?
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. We're starting to get a lot more listeners out there, which is really nice. It's something, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback, and it's good to see that, that's just not people kind of blowing smoke, that people really are listening, people really are enjoying the podcast, and that it's also growing, which is important for us. We would sit here and do this regardless, just with Law and I and with some of our other friends. But it is nice to kind of have an audience out there and have people who can appreciate what we're doing, the information we're trying to share, and also the information that our I don't want to call them fans, but our listeners are sharing with us.
Yeah.
It's a really cool reciprocation.
I've gotten some friends that I haven't talked to in a while that have been texting me, and they're like, dude, I listen. This is a really cool idea.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're doing this. It's a good hang. It sounds fun. So Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'll cut you off.
so now we're kind of fortunate enough to start getting some sponsors for some episodes, and our first sponsor for our episode is Toko Works' very own Waterloo Washrooms. They're actually going to be a guest on the podcast soon. But if you haven't heard of Waterloo Washrooms, which if you have listened to any of these episodes, you probably have, they are luxury mobile washrooms. So think of going to an outdoor event. You see a line of nasty blue porta potties lined up. That is not them. When you see that sparkling white trailer that's, I don't know, 15, 16 feet long, that holds, a bunch of luxury luxury toilets and urinals with air conditioning, music playing, granite countertops. It's really something that helps any event kind of go above and beyond. So you don't have to go into some crusty bathroom that has someone's vomit all over it.
And I'll give you the inside baseball on it.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where we looked at the market. No one's really doing this right around the country, and so
yeah.
And what you're talking about is keeping it clean. So I went through the whole process with the strategy. I was kind of the sounding board for Walter, who's the owner of Waterloo, him and his wife. And so we were bouncing ideas off, and I'm like, how can you create value with this? If you're getting this for an outdoor wedding, if you're getting this for a music festival, your VIP area, if you're getting this for a film production cruise,
Yep.
if you're getting this, there's literally like 9 good target markets for them. And there's some that we didn't even realize, like outdoor events. There was something with Metropolitan Ministries, which is I don't know if that's a nationwide thing or if that's just
I think
locally.
it is. I know it's really, really big locally here, but I believe it is nationwide.
So there's definitely an issue, and it's mostly women based. I mean, guys don't like going to a portalette, but women especially, it's one of those things where how do you create value, and how come no one's doing this correctly? So we try to align with event coordinators in the area, but also we're looking at a pay as you go option.
Ew.
Yeah.
That
So
makes sense.
what we're trying to think about is maybe going out to, I pitched this, maybe go out to the beach area when it's, July 4th or something where it's packed, but so you're not overloading the municipal systems out there.
Yeah.
And you can also I'd pay a premium to go in a good bathroom,
There's no question, especially, like we said before, we're down here in Tampa. We like to keep the podcast, as flat as possible without really any barriers. But down here in Tampa, man, it gets hot and nasty, like a lot of places around the country in the summer, especially. So when you're going to, these concerts and music festivals and all these different events that you have, the last thing you want to do is go into basically an 8-foot oven of poop in these porta potties that are just steamy and gross, and you just can't wait to get out of there. I can't wait to go into the Waterloo washrooms, man. That's like a break. It's like taking a break from the action, dude. It's kind of nice.
You know what? What really gives me a boner for doing small business consulting was when we got it out in a music festival, and I just randomly talked to drunk guys that were like, dude, this fucking thing's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, that is great. We did our job kind of helping them get up and get out there. And so that's all we asked for. So in an indirect way, this is a plug for our company.
Yeah. So spread the word, Waterloo Washrooms. Go on Facebook, check them out. Facebook.com/Waterloo. That's LOO Washrooms. They're on Instagram. Are they on Twitter as well? Don't know if they're on Twitter.
We didn't do Twitter because it doesn't make a lot of sense for them.
It really
to be
doesn't.
effective on Twitter, you got to do it about 7 to 10 times a day.
Yeah. So definitely Facebook, definitely Instagram. Visit their website as well. That's Waterloo, LOOWashrooms.com. Check them out, man.
Hey, long plugs in the beginning, but that's how this goes.
That's how you get your value in.
That third voice you're hearing is our buddy Tyler. I'm going to butcher your last name, even though I've known you for 5 years. Tyler
Let's do it.
LoPilato?
LoPilato, but close.
LoPilato.
LoPilato.
God
There you go.
damn.
That sounds like an amazing pastry or like some sort of
Pasta?
empanada thing. Yeah, maybe some pasta.
There you
Ooh, yeah.
It's Italian, so there you go.
All right.
That works.
Perfect.
We met a long time ago through our buddy our mutual friend John Jacobs, comedian and reality star John Jacobs.
There we go.
Now he's a rapper, I think.
I think he's everything. Yep.
I think he's working on a rap career for real, like
There we
Little
go.
Dicky style.
For real, for real.
Makes sense.
I'm
though.
100%.
More power to him, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, we met through that. I think around the time of the Republican National Convention in Tampa, which is probably 2012, so about 4 years ago. But we got together when we first started talking. We both had an interest in the kind of the online world, and I guess I like it. I got into it because I like the fact that it's speaking in that efficiency kind of way. Websites, online marketing, it's that thing of it works while you sleep kind of deal. And I think our generation's always trying to figure out that idea. I think everybody has app ideas because the idea of an app is like, well, once we get it out there, it pretty much just works if it's a good idea.
Yeah.
And I don't have to, that's not really a real job, when in fact it's way more difficult than
Quite the
anybody
opposite.
realizes.
Yep.
But it can start there with a silly idea, and then it can really progress into something. Y'all had a silly idea that I really loved, which was, it's still up, right?
Oh yeah, it still exists.
It's called poorpeopledate.com. And I don't, at first I was like, is this legit, or are we making fun? Is this a parody site? Is this like the Onion kind of style? But is it, what's up with it now? I haven't looked at it in a while.
Yeah, no. So it is great. We've got about 800 people active. I'm co-doing it with John Jacobs. He's our sponsor and reality TV show star.
Yeah.
So he's the face of Poor People Date. And I built the whole website back end. And yeah, it's a real site. It's catered to people that just, don't have a lot of money, but they like to date.
Yeah, but y'all are like, again, it's one of the silly ideas. It's like,
silly.
we're not putting a lot of energy into it, but it's fun.
Exactly. I did it because it's fun. I didn't do it to make money. I did it because I like building websites, and at the same time, it was kind of a fun idea that I could do.
And and we talk about that a lot on this podcast. On the podcast, Caleb and I have this talk off air a lot. It's like, you gotta, you never know. People would be like, why would you make that site? Why would you spend a lot of hours in it? Well, now you have that experience of going through it.
Right.
You look back and you go, okay, if there is a new niche dating site out there, I know how to construct that.
Oh
thing.
yeah, I learned a ton doing it, and then that's why I did it, because I love doing websites, and I figured I could do something fun and I could learn from. And in the end, it is a website, and people can sign up, and some people are using it and liking it, so it was kind of a win-win.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a general rule of thumb when you're kind of trying to make that decision, and if you can find that lining of will this project make me better?
Yes.
I think that's one of the most important things to kind of ask yourself on when you're taking on sort of these, it's kind of joke, but it could be something.
Right.
But if it's not, that's fine. But it's the experience of going through and building this kind of site that really kind of matters. So I think it's kind of, I'm on the website right now. I'm thinking about signing up. I'm engaged and all, but
There you go.
Yeah, but
shit hits the fan. I got a backup plan here.
But we're real Americans. We're living outside of our means most of the time. All of us are paying fucking student loan debt, and technically we're all kind of poor and so
I all want to date.
Kinda.
and it doesn't
We're all
say
kinda poor.
Doesn't say financially poor. You could be
Exactly.
you could be poor at heart.
Yeah.
You could be
Just your character's just
you could be a
poor.
1%er and just be a poor kind of person,
That's true.
just kind of personality wise. So you could have a poor dick.
decision making skills, just
Yeah.
everything.
And so I love the idea. That's just kind of funny, a silly way, but you never know with some of those things. If that got picked up by one of the big blog sites like Mashable or something, who knows?
Oh, yeah.
If
You never know.
so, an idea I'm gonna throw it out there, just kind of jazz scatting on it, is maybe there is something called a PR person that can get you on those blogs, because all
Right.
those blogs by now are media sites. A lot of
Yeah.
them are kind of wink, wink, nod, nod. Pay a little
John.
advertising here.
Yeah.
We'll definitely write for you. A lot of the Kinja sites are that way. Your Deadspin, Gawker, Jezebel, whatnot. Those are their preferred partners, whatnot. Look, hey, if you're giving out content for free, expect some kind of advertising coming your way. But it'd be really interesting if y'all actually, put a little in to pay that gatekeeper to push it out there and see what would happen.
No, I agree 100%. And me and John were talking about that, going that route of viral kind of, because it is a viral type of idea, and it works 100%. So, I think it'd be funny to see where it goes. I mean, like I said, it was started as kind of just a learning experience, but, you never know, right?
Well, we had the College Hunks guys, hauling junk and moving. We had Brandon from the company last week in here, and the funny thing is, I was talking about the name for about 10 minutes because you get it, and it already makes it a different class because you're thinking collegiate people, you're thinking moving. But these aren't scumbags coming in your house that could possibly rob you while you're not looking. It's kind of that. Yeah. It's that thing of like it has this air of we're higher end. We're already higher end just by our name.
Right.
With Poor People Date, I could see myself, in right out of high school or in college or whatever, and like you're like, hey, this is the deal. I'm not making oodles of cash. I don't know how many women would be on there, but I'm sure there's some that are like, hey,
I'm looking for a cheap date, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, we initially too we made little brochures and we handed them out at UT. Especially when John was at the height of his reality TV career.
Which is for those wondering, that's Are You the One?
Are You the One? Yep.
On MTV, where they matched up. It was a fucking mad show. It was like
that's crazy.
10 guys, 10 girls, and then you had to match. You had to find your match.
Find your true love. And
then you had find your true love. And they had some like weird machine algorithm thing they'd have to walk into, like Zoltan's booth and Big, and they'd go in there, and then there was something like if one person didn't adhere to it, they got like $100,000 or something like that. But if all 20 agreed to it, they all split $50,000. I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so they got 20 fucking kids to 20, young 20-year-olds to agree to split the money, which is crazy. So anyway, it's one of those shows. It's out of my demo, but I wouldn't watch it unless my friend was on it. But
yeah,
and y'all were on the University of Tampa handing this out. What was kind of the feedback? People were like, fuck off. This is a private school.
No, they were actually happy to see John. They were confused of like, what is this? But they would be excited to see John. So they were initially like, okay, cool. Like, we'll check it out. And we used a little coupon code. So they got a free membership. Even though everything we offer is free, we just had premium benefits.
Yeah.
So it worked out pretty cool.
Everything's a freemium model.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the way to go.
You got to get people in. I was just explaining this to someone about lead generation. Right. This will kind of dovetail into making websites, basically. What's the objective of the website? That's what I ask everybody. I don't know, Caleb, if you have too much experience with this, but you can give kind of the more of the non-nerd side of it. I mean, what I was trying to explain, like, your website is very crucial nowadays, and people don't think it is. And we've talked about this a lot. Like, it's the first thing you look up.
Well, yeah, and I think kind of just dive in a little more. I think we've mentioned it on some past episodes as well, but it's for me, it's your social media is to get a buyer's attention. Your website is to sell, and I think if you lose sight of, it's easy to lose sight of that. If you're into having a website just for having one, just to be like, we're a real company, we have a website. That's great, but that's all you're going to have is a website.
Right.
If you want to have a real company, make that website work for you.
Yeah.
And you sometimes you need to bring in, outside sources to be able to do that. Someone like myself, I personally can't sit down and like I'm going to create a freaking selling machine, with this website. Yeah. I need help with that. But I do know enough to know you have to have a goal in mind of what is the purpose of your website? Right. What is the purpose of your social media? They're not just things to have. That's your own Instagram page, your personal one. Yeah. That's just something to have. I want to share some photos. I want to get a bunch of likes. I mean, people take it way too far and try to become Instagram celebrities. That's not the goal with this. So I hope that people keep that in mind when they're talking about web design. And I think that needs to be brought up first and foremost with people is that, look, man, your social media reels them in, your website generates the dollars.
Yeah. So. Yeah, you're exactly right. It's and it's one of those things where I was at a meeting with a Google rep that was in town. It was one of these things that was put on to, brush up on Google AdWords, search and display ads and stuff. And they're showing some stats. It was like 91% of people look up the will research a product before they purchase it online.
Right.
So you have to keep I look at social media as your reputation services, kind of. It's one of those things where what are we trying? You're right. It's a method of pulling people in. Here's the thing. Here's a conversation I have with a lot of people, a lot of mom and pop kind of people that you have to put it in traditional terms. That's how I do it. I tell them, here's the thing. Let's think of it this old school way. Your social media is like a sandwich board. It's like putting a little ad in the newspaper. Think of the old school methods, magazine, what be it. It's one of those things, or even the signage on the outside. Now, you can't ignore traditional still.
Right.
I think that's a mistake a lot of people make too.
No, and I think that's why it is traditional, because it's what's been around so long that it continuously proves to work. Well, there's a reason.
Well, I tell people your offline needs to be cohesive with your online world. If you're kicking ass and you bring people through the door, which is, I see that as the threshold. If you're doing like retail, or you're doing restaurants or something like that, wherever you got to have, or even, car dealership, even a fucking doctor's office, where we used to see that as something that's not really a business thing. Yeah, it kind of is. Same with the law firm.
Oh, it absolutely is.
We used to see those as public services almost, but they're businesses. And so whatever we can do to get you through that threshold of the door, that's the biggest part. How can we get you from the online to come in? And I think the big thing is, when I ask, I don't know how you talk when you have clients, but I go, what's your main objective?
Yep, 100%.
And I think it kind of breaks down to a few. Like, you can kind of, I visualize a decision tree almost. Is that how you see? I don't know how you visualize all this.
Yeah, I think there's three main categories. It's like experience. You want an experience online. You want an extension of your brand, and then there's like the selling and value of an online store. And I think it comes into like those big three, and then branches out from there. And that's kind of how I go into a new client, and I explain why. Like you were saying earlier, why do you want a website? Not we want a website, we just want one.
Right.
It's why.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it.
Well, it's like, okay, you're a restaurant. What do you want? So I'm working with a restaurant right now. Okay, I go, what do you want this? What's the point of this website?
Right.
And it's like, be informative. Here's where we're located. Here's where they can contact. Here's what they can call. Okay, we don't need much. This doesn't need to be robust.
Right.
What about delivery?
Yeah.
Do you guys want delivery?
Do we want a menu on there?
Okay, now
Probably.
You want a menu. Is that going to change a lot? Because we need to figure that out.
Right, then you have to have something that they can easily change or customize.
I'm going to show whoever's going to do that, or we're going to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Either way, but we need to work that into our relationship, our retainer with you. And so the other thing is the delivery part. Do you have that set up? And then you have to get into this thing of like, all right, do you like this app that we can embed in better than this one? And so then you go, what's that look like on the other side?
Right, the back. Right.
The back end, how's the website?
Yep.
On the back end, is it easy to teach? Because that can be
huge.
big. And then the other part is like, when you're doing these extra features, like we're doing doorstep delivery, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Where you can embed that in there. What does the ticket look like on the other side for them? Yeah. And can they see it? They need like a manual printout.
And I think that's stuff that kind of does get overlooked too, and that may be going down a different wormhole. I don't know, but maybe it's not with a lot of like user interface stuff that you have experience with. So, but it's one of those things where you need to keep the customer happy, you need to keep them engaged, but you also need to make sure that your business operations can run smoothly, and that's not going to cost you a lot of money with extended training or having employees that can't get the hang of the back end of these apps or of like the ticket printouts, these sort of things. They need it. That part needs to be as plain as possible, almost, to keep the business ops going and to keep that revenue generating, rather than you having employees out there kind of running around with their heads cut off and not a lot of leadership to be able to get things done. So
I mean, so that's like,
it's kind of just having that balance.
Well, I see it kind of in a similar way. There's informative, more of experience. Like, we're going to show high res photos of the food. That's going to food boner all the way.
Right.
Yes.
Make a reservation if they want to do that. I don't know if they're going to do that kind of reservation, but
A food boner reservation?
Yeah.
You can do that?
Yeah. Well, you get a little half chub, and then you bring the full boner to the game.
I'm going to be there in 10 minutes.
And then it's one of those things. Lead generation is the other one. So real estate, law firms, jewelers. There's a lot of these are such a high ticket item. We have that way because we don't do right now. We haven't been doing a lot of lead generation marketing because we know in the area good work begets good work, but we're still working on it, and we should, and we know we should. But contractor's house is the worst on the block deal. But the higher ticket items, lead generation, not usually going to be sold. You're not going to be able to sell online a lot of things that are a mom and pop shop.
Yeah.
Or if it's a service,
it's something
elective surgery, something like that.
Right. And I don't think that, having a restaurant, your website is going to need to be online ordering based. It's not necessarily Papa John's. Right. You want people to come in. You want them to have that dining experience at your place. That's what gets repeat customers. You don't always want, even though your food may be good, you don't always want your food to speak for itself. You want to have all the other things that play along with it. You want people to have some drinks flowing, to have a good time, to come in with friends. You want the ambiance to kind of capture them a little bit. That way, if the food isn't up to par, they still had a great time and they're probably going to come back. I mean, I know there's restaurants where we are in Tampa that I don't like the food, but I still go to these restaurants because I have a great time with my friend. This one place has a great signature drink that I like having, but I think the food's terrible.
Yeah.
But it's in a good part of town. I like the people that I go there with, so I keep going back. And it's one of those things, if I did takeout for the first time with them, I'd have never gone back. There's no question. I'd have been like, this is awful. I don't even want to go in.
Yeah, the restaurant downstairs, we're overhead the bricks, and a lot of the reason I like the bricks is the people that work there. They do a very good job staffing, and they're just friendly and all unique, and it's not this like jaded, vapid kind of conversation. It feels real. It feels authentic, and you can tell everybody's kind of got maybe something else going on the side. That it feels like that kind of staff.
Yeah, and with the bricks, it's really interesting too. Kind of a cool dynamic with them is their menu. I don't know that their menu has ever changed. Ever. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how long I've been going down there, but I don't know that their menu's ever changed. It's always consistent. It's always good. You know what you're gonna get, and like you said, it's the staff. It's the ambiance. It's sometimes they bring a DJ in on the weekends. Sometimes they
Church of Nintendo.
Yeah, the Church of Nintendo. That's such
cool.
Such a cool thing,
That's
man.
Cool.
And it's just different. They're playing, skateboard videos and like highlight reels, while everyone's eating and playing like old school hip hop and all this different stuff. And the vibe is right. You know what I mean? If the food was shitty, I would still go to the Bricks. There's no doubt. But the food is very good, and you guys should check it out if you're ever in the area.
And but the big thing, my biggest gripe, and I'm friendly with the owner, Brian Schaefer. We'll try to get him on here at some point. He's a busy man, but I was like, dude, you just have a Facebook page.
Yeah.
And here's where this is fucked. Okay, this is why I have to break this down for a lot of people. They're like, well, we're fine. We have a Facebook page, and it's got this many people on it. Well, think of your social media. That's your marketing, like kind of we went over. You want autonomy. If you own the website, you have autonomy in how you want to get your message out.
Right.
And you kind of control that a little bit more. Let's say Facebook, you relied on a Facebook page, right? 6 years ago. It was way more valuable 6 years ago than it is now.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Because they devalued what's coming up in your news feed.
Yep.
And you got to get over a certain fan page like mark of like, I want to say it's like 50 grand, maybe 100 grand before that's going to consistently kind of be in the feed again. So my thing with that is like, dude, don't rely on Twitter. Don't rely on any of that. Those are spokes. Your website is your hub.
Exactly. And they could change their algorithm tomorrow for Twitter or Facebook, and it could completely change your business model. You want full control, and I think that's why the website is so important to complement all the different social media. Yeah.
And then I think the third one, the third kind of site objective you talked about is e-commerce.
Right.
That can get really tricky.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of options out there. We've dealt with using Shopify, using WooCommerce. I like Squarespaces for very simple stuff, but maybe I'm just a Squarespace zealot. I just like it because it's all in one. I don't have to pay any more. I think Shopify is $29 extra. to have that integrated anywhere.
Right.
But some people rely on just their Shopify page as their website.
Right.
So I don't know if you've got any kind of. I know we've bid it out with. We've worked on some other bids where it's like, I think you should do this. I think you should do Woo over this. There's a lot of things. I think the main thing is you got to really sit back and go, all right, your objective is to do e-commerce. Now we got to get to the next question.
Right.
What are we trying to sell? How many SKUs?
Yeah, and that goes into the framework, like you're saying, Shopify, WooCommerce, and then there's like Magento and the bigger guys. And it really does go into what you're selling, your SKUs, and how big of a company you are.
So if I'm a big company, let's use, we won't say the company name that we bid it out on, but let's say they had over 2,000 SKUs or something like that. What would you put? I don't know Magento that well.
Yeah, I think Magento is the biggest scalability. You have companies like Nike.com and all the big guys use Magento, and they have like the corporate edition, and they have also their open source. So a web developer like me could get the open source, fork it, and then build for them. But then, when it's a smaller mom and pop or smaller businesses, Shopify is great because it's all encompassing and handles it for them. Magento, you're going to be needing a web developer or someone in-house or outsource coding when you want to add new plugins or frameworks to that.
All right, so slow that down.
Okay,
We have a lot of people that are listening because open source, that term can get. I think people think they know what that means.
Okay.
So see if you can explain it. I'll see if I'll fill in.
Okay, sure. So open source would be it's a community-driven part of that software. Whereas closed source would be a company that sells it, owns it, and only you can't look at the code or how it's built.
So it's like there's a site called GitHub.
Yeah.
And it's a community of coders, and they go, hey, here's this code I'm letting anybody use.
Exactly. And anyone can actually commit, which means add to it and push up to it, commit the changes. And that means they can collaborate on this code, and you can fully see. The big thing, too, with open source is you can see what's going on under the hood. Not that these big companies would, but they could be adding some sort of tracking element, and you would never know because it's embedded into the source where they're getting data from you.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I mean, that's not too common, but it's from a web developer point of view, open source is always a great way to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
It's fluid. You have backup in case something messes up where you can go, ooh, I need to make a slight alteration to this code. I have somewhere to go to, especially when you're doing a lot of coding by yourself.
Yeah, and that's where I find myself exactly, where I can go to a forum or some sort of wiki that has the codex or everything outlined for me. And
yeah, I mean, I'm a big Squarespace guy, and I use the Slack group. There's a big ass Slack group, like 2,000 people, and if you look through it, it's better than their site help, which is kind of the same thing, but this is a little bit more in-depth stuff, or just people just asking random questions that I may not have thought of to ask, kind of deal. So I think that's one thing for building websites. A lot of the time it can be very isolating, and you kind of use that almost as your coverage a little bit, because if you get stuck, you're kind of fucked, and it's not like you can really look. You can't really call any other guys because they're doing their own thing.
Right.
You know?
Going back to kind of the open form coding, is there a risk factor involved there?
I mean, if you're right,
because like kind of like it sounds to me like I'm thinking of it. I don't mean I know I asked you a question and interrupted you, but
no.
What it kind of sounds like to me is almost you could compare it to like Wikipedia. How Wikipedia is kind of like almost like an open forum that when in the early stages the content wasn't necessarily being fact checked, so you had a lot of misinformation on there.
Right.
Is there a threat of that happening with that, or what are the benefits and the pros and cons?
So of course, you could always get, and a lot of things too gets depreciated just in coding and frameworks. You'll have a function or something that works one day, and then that overall software will get updated or open source, and it will depreciate it. So I think there always is a risk, but a great thing that actually Law mentioned was something like a community-driven, like a Slack, where if that does happen, you don't feel so much alone.
Yeah.
But that being said, if you go to a closed source or a company like Magento corporate, they'll be able to fix any issues, and they kind of have your back.
Yeah.
So there are pros and cons.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
For sure.
So yeah, the next thing with like website stuff that we talk with is, I think a lot of people are realizing they need a simplistic design. They need something responsive. It's absurd how many sites you go to that aren't. They don't realize. I think it's 70% of all web traffic will be mobile this year or something like that.
And if you just think about how you're on your phone, I know I am, and I know a lot of my friends, they'll look on websites first on their phone, hardly on their computer, especially in their downtime or they're in their bed or on their couch. They're always going mobile first. So yeah.
Now, if you're licensing software, obviously you'd have a responsive site, but the robust part of it would be desktop because the crowd's probably more a laptop, desktop crowd.
Right.
When you're doing a restaurant, when you're doing retail, when you're doing something like that, it's crazy how complicated a lot of people make their websites, and they're not thinking like a hungry user.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm hungry for fucking food. What's this place like? I need to see its reviews. I tell people, hey man, you got to figure out how to get people to review you, because that matters a lot. I think like, I'm going to butcher this stat. I guess the Google rep was giving me stats. I could probably look it up in a second, but it was like 80% of people look up reviews for a local business before they go in.
Well, look how big. I mean, I just saw my first Yelp commercial ever.
They're struggling.
Just like this week, and it's kind of like I feel like reviews are they're so important when people are determining where their dollar is going to go.
Oh yeah.
Huge. And it's kind of one of those things. I've always been a big believer. And if you're listening to the podcast, again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. If I want to buy a pair of boots, I want to buy them from a boot maker. If I want to buy a watch, I'm going to buy it from a watchmaker. It's one of those things where now once you've narrowed it down to that, it's kind of like, all right, now where's my money best spent? What's going to be not just the best value, but what's going to last the longest? What's going to get me from point A to point B, whatever that is. If it's web design, if it's user interface, if it's boots and watches, what's going to get me, the best, not just bang for my buck, but also the best quality. So
I'm going to throw out some stats that I got from this meeting with the Google reps. 61% of people prefer news online. 20% of all sales are made on mobile right now.
Right.
Which is
20%.
20%.
Wow.
Which is it. Yeah, it used to be non-existent 4 years ago, and then it's one of those things where, because I remember when I was doing ad campaigns, it'd be mostly desktop because people feel uncomfortable putting their credit card in.
Yeah.
But now that's been easier if you embed
PayPal,
Amazon payments.
I just did the update on my iPhone this morning, and I put my card on Apple Pay.
Apple
I haven't
Pay,
used it yet, but it's kind of. I'm interested to see how this thing works, honestly.
Right.
150 hours per month spent online by the average American.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of crazy.
150 hours
150
a month.
Per month.
Wow.
Yeah.
True.
What else we got here? The 88% of people research before buying something.
Yep.
So you'll go in a store, like you're drifting into a store. This is the scenario I think they gave us. Caleb's a big shoe guy.
Right.
Well, he might see something he hasn't seen before, and he's going to figure out if that's legit or not. So he's going to walk out of the store, look it up.
Yeah.
Can I get it cheaper? Or when does this come out again? That kind of thing. Is it on eBay? And then maybe he'll come back in the store if that's the lowest thing he can buy.
Yeah. And I think
or the most convenient.
I think just having the resources on hand just changes so many things for everybody when being a consumer. I mean, there's so many instances where that exact example happens where, I'll be even in a department store and I'm sitting there and I'm going to say, hey, can I find this cheaper for somewhere else? I mean, I should be on poorpeopleday.com. If I find this cheaper for somewhere else, will they match the price if I just show it to them on my phone?
Yeah.
Hey, this store has this for less.
Right,
Or hey, I'm just going to go on eBay and see if someone has this on eBay. I'll try it on in the store and see what size I need, and then I'll just go buy it on eBay. I mean, there's so much that we can do to kind of determine where our dollar goes now with the resources we have at our fingertips at all times. So I think that really forces companies to kind of be on the up and up, with their products and the way they display them to us.
Well, I remember working for an air purifier company, and they're mainly e-commerce. They sold in a few stores, and I remember having this conversation because you have to keep the price floor, and so they would give free shipping away because now it was only in like a few Southern California like stores, one like a not like a Best Buy, but way shittier. They were in that. I forget the name of it, but one of the notorious like Circuit City style bad kind of electronic store,
which they are coming back, by the way. I don't know how, but
well, they got a brand name, so if someone just scoops that and figures it out, I mean, why not?
Which I think is what happened, but keep going. Sorry.
So they would have a price floor, so essentially you couldn't find it anywhere. If you're going to find it cheaper, it was going to be online. It was going to be on their site with a coupon code if you were a loyal customer. And that was an interesting experience, figuring that out. I'm going to throw some other stats. This one I don't really know if I buy. They said we check our devices 150 times a day.
Right.
That's desktop, laptop, phone, tablet.
To be honest, I think I probably check mine more than that a day.
You're out and about, man.
Yeah.
You have to. That's your main.
It's a habit.
Yeah.
Right.
But then what does that mean? So, I mean, if I'm at my computer for 3 hours, right? Is that one check? You know what I mean? So I think that's hard to gauge, but I think that's definitely doable, at least for myself. I don't know. I'm not trying to be the cool guy. Like, I check mine way more than that, dude.
200.
Talk about being unproductive. 150. Geez.
Your mobile, your time per visit on mobile is down 18%. So speaking of that web design factor, get to the point. Have a call to action. What are we doing?
Yeah, and I think it's down because that's a good sign that the mobile sites are getting more optimized to give you your content quicker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where that's another part we talk about when we're going through the website development phase, which it blends. I mean, you can't have design without development, really.
Right.
The best way I've heard a scenario of explaining how websites are constructed is like a house. The HTML is the foundation. It's the framing. It's the wood, it's the it's your doorways, it's all that stuff, and then the CSS part of it, which
styling.
People don't know what that is. That's basically it's not just window dressing necessarily. It is you have drywall, you'd have that popcorn speckle shit if you're in the 70s and your ceiling, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Where it is infrastructurally kind of important. Is that a word?
Yeah. We just made it one.
So CSS and HTML, both have to work with each other too.
Right. And then to move to that, I know it's a little more complicated, but then your boiler or what's making it work is your object-oriented coding, like your PHP, which is like goes a step further.
Yeah, that might be more of your foundation, I would say, right? Because I use a lot of content. If you use WordPress, you're a WordPress guy. I'm Squarespace. Those are what's called CMS systems, content management systems. Those are template-based, which, by the way, if anybody's making a fucking website, if you're not like a huge enterprise company, you don't need to make a website from the ground up. There's so many options out there for way shittier Wix, like GoDaddy. Those are fucking horrible.
Those are hands down the worst.
Yeah.
Just look who traditionally markets. That's what I've noticed. People 75 million people use Wix. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But they traditionally they do TV ads. And they do a lot of, I've seen them in newspapers and shit. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But it gets that laggard community, that restaurant, that diner that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So my biggest thing too is when I talk with clients, we go, what sites do you like? Like we don't have to reinvent the wheel necessarily.
Yeah.
We can see what they're doing, do it better. Because likely, there's not a lot of people that update their site once a year, I'd say. And you can just look at it as like, I like how this is a call to action here. This is what I mean by that is, sign up today for free or check out our shop or, something that it's the old sales thing. They need you to connect. They need you to engage.
Yeah. I think that's, how you end up building is if you don't have that call to action, you don't get the interaction. And when you get that interaction is how you start building that relationship. You're not going to I don't want to say rarely or, very few times, but it's not going to be as effective as just having your Instagram page and hoping people, you're going to get those people that like every single photo and like go on your page and, just totally creep on your page and want to, find out more about your brand. You have to have that call to action. Sign up for like what you see here, sign up for our newsletter, and that furthers the relationship. Oh, you signed up for our newsletter, and our newsletter, it talks about some of our products. If you're interested, try a demo session. Oh, you like the demo session? Why don't you sign up now for a yearly membership? And it kind of grows. I think the people who try to close those sales too quick, there's Facebook for a little while had a system where you could actually purchase things on the Facebook page. I don't know if they still have that or not.
No, it's still there.
See,
They're trying to push out Shopify.
Yeah, and I personally am not a fan of that. I guess it makes it easier if you already know what you want in a product and you're like, oh, I'm on there. Oh yeah, I need one of those. Bam, and I can buy it. But I think that's too aggressive and hard of a close for me. I think you need to build a relationship in order to gain true loyal customers.
Yeah, if you have an Etsy store, for instance,
yeah,
that might be a good way to kind of because that for a lot of people that have an Etsy store, Facebook's probably one of their biggest ways of getting it out there.
Yeah,
and then it's one of those things where I talk about this too when I'm talking kind of the marketing side. Facebook is the discovery. Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, those are usually about discovery. Google is what you want. You want those Bo Jackson crossovers that are coming out again, a special edition. I'm getting a hard boner, a food boner reservation in my pants. But you want those. You're gonna search for them. Hey, when do those come out? But
Absolutely.
You may have found out about them on Facebook. So it's kind of that thing of like, you also need to be concerned about what your traffic plans are. How are you going to get stuff in? If you're selling products, Google might be better. Geek up that. Use a little bit of AdWords. I don't know. I feel like I've kind of dominated a lot of the convo. If you look like you're about to say something.
Well, I had two things to say. The first thing was actually mentioning Etsy. I do a web forum I belong to, and a big change is Etsy is changing their whole strategy.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I was just trying to Google to get the base ideas, but first they're opening a physical store. And I think they're going to be changing their fees to independent sellers. So I think a big trend for 2016 will be people moving away from Etsy and then going on to these solutions we've been talking about. So something to look. I was trying to get more information from it, but I did remember reading that.
You think more people? I think the allure of Etsy was that it became that homemade jewelry, woodworker, leather worker, artist kind of community. Yeah.
Well, and I think it's specialization. I think is what people are craving.
Yeah. But I think it's got a good filtering search. You go on there.
Yeah, I know. I've used it. It is a nice site, but I think if they start to change their business model.
Oh yeah. I mean, like Yelp is fucked.
Right.
They about almost 2 years ago, they started devaluing any small businesses that didn't pay for premium. I never had Yelp, and I didn't have a client that did. But I had friends that would ask me about it, and they were basically telling me like if they didn't have enough reviews or something like that, they were just killing all the reviews or not showing them.
Yeah,
which killed their business. Again, don't rely on something outside of you.
Yep.
You work on all of those things. You got to keep, just like any kind of marketing, you're going to do 8 to 10 different mediums to keep up with. Let's say you do 5 social media. Let's say you do 3 review sites, and you have an email blast. That would be like a cocktail napkin. Here's the things you need to do as a salon or a restaurant or a clothing shop, jewelry, whatever. Don't rely on one of those things to carry the weight, because they could change that algorithm at any fucking time.
Right, and you have no control over that.
What's the second thing? Sorry, I cut you off.
Second thing was...
I'm on tangent highway today.
No, it's cool. We were kind of discussing about, besides just, going on the Wix that we talked about and making your own site, I think besides the coding, the designing, and the elements, the big question is, like, how do we utilize the website, which we talked about. And I think that's why having someone in, hiring someone, or getting someone that knows this field can give you the best way to utilize those functions.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I mean, it's and I'm, you know how I am about this. If we have a client, I want them to know how to use what we're handing off. I feel like there's a lot of, whether it's conscious or not, there's a lot of web developers that don't do that. And then they're pretty much holding the site hostage. I've got a client right now that I'm like, we've been delayed 13 days because they don't even have the login to the whole back end of their site.
Or they're hosting, or it's not even hosted on their server. It's on the guy that made the website server, and then it's like the held hostage. It's crazy.
So I'm like, hey, if this goes any further, if you can't get a hold of them, this is where we get our power attorney, Stephen Fantetti, FantettiLegal.com.
That's right.
If we'll get him to make a phone call for us because they're basically their negligence is hurting our business.
Right.
It hurts our cash flow if you think about it too. You know, we want to. My thing is about speed. I want to get projects out. We know we're good. Good work begets good work. That means we don't have to spend as much on marketing. So it has all these indirect kind of trickle down things. I guess for any aspiring, because look, it's already 50 minutes.
Oh, wow.
It goes by.
It's crazy.
It goes by quickly, man.
Yeah. Wow.
And we'll have you back on.
Definitely.
Any advice you'd give to aspiring website developers or current ones? Like, give me the website where your client can make edits. What's that called again?
CMS.
It's
called content management system. Is that what you're
No. If I have the first iteration of a website for a client and I want to send it to them, and they can write over it and make edits.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's huge. Especially if you're doing freelance, it's called. There's some basically frameworks like a freelancer cockpit is called one.
That's it.
And I utilized that, and that was huge because I was able to, basically the client could go on the website I was building, and using JavaScript, they could like write on the website, make changes through that, and that would automatically get sent to me, and I could see exactly what they wanted.
Just to be clear, the client doesn't need to know JavaScript.
No,
that's how it functions.
Right.
That's just being a web developer, I like to say how things.
I try to explain some stuff that even I'm like, hold up.
Right.
Because I'm not a programmer first. I came from business first and taught myself all this stuff. So it's one of those things where I can see people listening to this and going,
wait, what?
You need a JavaScript pencil? But that's a valuable tool because that, again, a lot of wasted time going back and forth, iterations of like,
huge.
This is what I really wanted. I have people print out a lot of the time, and that's fine by me. Print it out on red. And
that
send
works
it back.
Too.
That's old school. If that's easier for you to figure out, great.
Right.
But again, that conversation ahead of time with client. Hey, this is the schedule. This is how many edits you get. This is how many phone calls you get to me. That's something I'm working on.
Yeah.
Like a law firm should charge for that.
Right. Going into a project, a clear structure, I've learned over time is huge, and will save you tons of time and development time and just your personal time building a website for sure.
Yeah, you and I are kind of working in a similar way, like GitHub open source. We're trying to work on almost a template of the exact questions to ask, and then as we're about to do the contract, just let them be aware this is how the schedule works, this is how payment works. It's it's not net 30, it's due upon receipt, and we don't do anything further.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm trying to figure out how to make people feel like this is more important. And I look at law firms. Okay, a lawyer does a letter. It took him 25 minutes. He's charging for the whole hour.
Right.
That's fully acceptable.
I know.
But the other side, you're just some fucking web geek to them, and they don't see that. Hey. And maybe this is more of a brand thing. Maybe once our brand's built up, maybe you have more of that kind of leverage. Right now, when we're small, and we'll take on any client, basically, almost any client, I'd say. We've only rejected a couple because they're too crazy, but but like it's one of those things where I guess I'm trying to figure out how to make them realize, hey, the hours we're probably bidding, we're probably doing double that.
Right.
Yeah, I think that comes down to kind of like a metric driven conversation.
Yeah.
And I think it's tough to put a metric on that. Like with a lawyer, it's pretty easy. Did you win or did you lose your case? Yeah, I think it's pretty simple.
Well, I mean, what I want to do is have a checklist. Here's all the things we're going to do for you. a lot of the weight too is, do you have high res photography?
Yeah.
Do you have video?
Yep.
And do you have the actual content? Are we writing? That's where
Right.
Yep.
that's where this gets really muddled, and that's what I'm
Absolutely.
figuring out.
100%.
And that's what gets delayed too. I've had clients, we're just waiting on them to figure out how to get a fucking photographer to coordinate a half-day shoot.
Yeah.
It's not hard,
Yeah.
but they don't. It's not revenue generating immediately for them, and so they don't see that as
And
super
that's
important.
and I think that's kind of one of the things that'd be good to provide to when you have these meetings. Somehow find a way to keep metrics on your either companies you've helped in the past or companies you're still developing, and saying, hey, you know, once these guys came to us, here's what they were able to do right out of the gate. Here's what they were able to do 6 months out. Here's how we've helped them grow their business.
Oh yeah.
And kind of show and be like, this was the budget they started out with.
Yeah.
You know, here's where we were able to get them gains, and just watch that chart just going up, you know. So I think that's the kind of interesting stuff to get people to really buy in. But again, that stuff is hard to track because, you know, do you attribute everything to the website, or are there some cases that come up where it's just like, yeah, I don't know, some guy heard about us through a friend and we ended up, you know, making a deal for 20 grand on certain products. And it's like, okay, cool. Like they didn't need the website for that. But 99.9% of the time, you're going to need that website to get those things to happen.
But
so.
And to say to that too, maybe the friend went on the website and was like, wow, this is cool. They have
Exactly.
a great brand. So
There
you
you
never
go.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's the thing of like, that's why we don't just do website development or app development, because it all bleeds over into that marketing world. It bleeds over into the brand, your design, and those are kind of the four big kind of primary services, and there's breakout services from all those. But it bleeds into your strategy. It bleeds into your business processes, which I put in the consulting bucket. So that's why we have the 6 services, because it's kind of like it needs to be one big goddamn Venn diagram, you know, because all this shit overlaps, and it doesn't it doesn't like you can get the website up and then what, you know?
Right. It doesn't just end there.
Right.
Yeah.
So well, thanks for coming on, man.
Oh, thanks for having me. This was
Yeah,
awesome.
it was great.
Dude.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you back on. I want to talk a little more like user interface stuff.
Yeah, I'd love to talk
Next
about
time.
it.
I think when we get the video going better,
Yeah.
when we can, if I can navigate this while talking, where we have Google Hangout and I can bring up screen shares of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, we'll keep design for later.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a science behind.
Oh yeah.
There's a science behind web design. There's a science, just like John Tafford talking about your flow in a bar.
Yep.
Comes in, he goes, this chair's worth 20 grand a year. Just like that on website design.
Yeah.
Similar.
No different.
Yeah,
Yep.
there's certain pockets that are more expensive than others, and it's an interesting game of risk you're kind of playing there. So
Yeah. Hopefully we scratch the surface for everybody as far as website building, a little bit on the back end, what goes into it, and why it's important to be efficient all the way around, not just on the front end of what looks aesthetically pleasing. So.
Right.
Also, we want to thank our guest Waterloo, or our sponsor Waterloo, for sponsoring this episode. Check them out, WaterlooWashrooms.com. That's Waterloo, LOO, washrooms.com. Check them out on Facebook, Instagram. I guess, is that it? You got anything else, Lo?
subscribe on iTunes to this podcast. If you made it this far, you obviously somewhat liked it and didn't turn it off. Take a second, give us a review, give us a 5-star, give us a 1-star. I don't give a shit, but maybe a 5-star.
Maybe 5's a little better than 1.
But actually write a review in. That all helps.
Yeah.
This is free advice. We're putting it out there in the universe kind of deal, and hope it comes back in a kind of good way. And what else I got?
I think most importantly, Tyler, where can people find you?
Yeah, sure. So check me out on I got my freelance portfolio site at tylerlopilato.com. That's TYLERLOPILATO.com.
Nice.
And yeah,
We'll put it on the blog
The
post.
kid can spell,
Please.
folks.
I know.
The guy can spell.
Not only can I build websites, I can spell.
That's right.
There you go.
And if you got some questions you want us to answer on the podcast, go on the site tocoworks.com, TOCOWORKS.com, or email me or Caleb directly, law@tocoworks, LAW @TOCOWORKS.com.
God.
Caleb,
Sounds so good.
give him your email there. What's your email?
It's
sir?
just Caleb @TocoWorks.
How do you spell it, man?
TOCOWORKS. WORKS.com.
That's Caleb with a C, not a K. He's
right.
not Greek. So until next time, thanks for listening, and more nerd shit coming your way next week.